The leftist media avoids noting this, but the reality is that most American adults are opposed to transgendering minors. And in fact, that number is up from 46% to 56% over the last 3 years, that at least according to the Pew Research Center. But still, as we highlighted on the program yesterday, there is a fierce battle underway over this issue. And of course, related to this issue is also the issue of fairness and safety in female sports. But earlier this week, a 3-judge panel on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals temporarily blocked the enforcement of an Ohio state law that protected minors from gender-denying procedures. And that, of course, on the other hand, the left misleadingly so, refers to all this as gender-affirming care, which it absolutely is not. But nonetheless, what was their rationale behind that decision, and what's next for this battle? Well, joining me now to discuss this is the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost. Attorney General Yost, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you again.
Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we're all kind of shaking our head over all of this. But if you would, the SAFE Act, the Saving Adolescents from Experimentation, remind us the details about that and this House Bill 68.
Well, it's a common sense law that basically says you can't undertake permanent, irreversible medical procedures to change somebody's sex before they are 18. It also says that boys aren't allowed to play girls' sports, which is kind of would have been a no-brainer just a few years ago. But obviously we've had in Ohio to pass a law making common sense the law of the land. Notwithstanding that, the ACLU sued. They lost in the trial court below after a 5-day trial where we had a bunch of great testimony, including from Chloe Cole, one of the great advocates out there talking about against the idea of gender transitions for minors, and went up to the Court of Appeals. So that was the decision a couple of days ago.
Okay, and Chloe is amazing, by the way. She's been on with us, and yes, she is such a powerful voice. But can you tell us now about this decision from the Court of Appeals? What did this 3-judge panel say regarding the bill? And maybe perhaps more specifically, what did they get wrong with it all?
Yeah, well, they're trying to latch on to a Ohio-only amendment. Ohio passed a constitutional amendment back in the teens in reaction to Obamacare that said everybody's got a right to choose their own health care. The federal government's not allowed to impose a plan on us. And the ACLU is trying to argue, and the court ultimately agreed, that law extends to the idea that the state can't tell parents that they're not allowed to have their children mutilated or chemically castrated. And we're going to take that to the Supreme Court. You know, Jody, the truth of the matter is we have all kinds of laws that forbid conduct for minors that is perfectly fine, or at least, legal for adults. You can't get a tattoo as a minor without adult permission. And even if you have adult permission, you can't enter into a contract and have it enforced against you. If the parent co-signs it, the parent's on the hook, but they can't sue you under that contract if you're a minor. You can't vote as a minor, even if your parents say it's okay. Well, why is that? Because teenagers' brains are not formed. They're not grown up yet. They can't see and foresee the consequences of their actions. So we have all sorts of laws that restrict behaviors for teenagers, for minors, that don't apply to adults because it's our job as a civilized society to protect the kids.
Great points. And I think it's just worth noting by way of just bringing it all into context. Here's something we already know, but we're talking about cutting off healthy body parts. We're talking about using hormone and puberty blockers in a way that they were not designed to be used. And this is not denying someone health care. It really is like experimentation. And experimentation with lifelong, irreversible consequences. Isn't that the reality of it?
Yeah, and I think the appeals court knows that they're on kind of thin ice here because they let stand the surgical procedures, the ban on surgical procedures, and didn't go quite that far. But these puberty blockers, which Chloe Cole can tell you all about, and she had parental permission, by the way, when she was a kid. The bottom line is they have just as long-term effects as a surgical procedure does. And in fact, the rest of the world, we have medical professionals that are backing away from this and saying this isn't a good idea for people before they're fully grown. We shouldn't be doing this to kids. I think this is a case of judges inserting themselves into lawmaking and into the practice of medicine. I'm very hopeful that the Supreme Court of Ohio is going to see through it. I will tell you this. I will promise you this. We're going to keep fighting to protect the kids of this state. I am never, ever going to give up on this battle.
Well, thank you 1,000 times over for that. So in terms of what's next for all of this, you firmly believe this is eventually going to find its way to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, we're taking it there right now.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, I just want to thank you again so much, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. What a tremendous job you're doing protecting children and leading the way for our entire country to stand up for this issue. Many thanks to you. Job well done. Thank you for taking time to join us today on Washington Watch.
It's good to be with you again.